Thank you so very much. I appreciate Mr. Anwaar-ul-Haq Kakar, former Prime Minister of Pakistan. Appreciate for this opportunity. My first question is that let's start from the current affairs and what's going on between Afghanistan and Pakistan. I would like to ask you, in your opinion, what are the main roots of this tension or problem that right now is going on between Afghanistan and Pakistan?
Well, thank you so much for having me. Well, of course, as you and your audience is aware, we have a history. We have a history which does not commence on 14th August 1947. Prior to that, the region has been there. And in that region, there are variable claims, variable political claims, social claims, cultural claims, civilizational claims. And those claims have shaped the political narratives. And those political narratives have reached us in this post-Second World War global order, that an idea of nation state has become the basic component of international law. And according to that, 14th August 1947, the creation of Pakistan comes, along with many other countries in the process of decolonization. You name the Gulf countries, the Iranian Peninsula, Iraq, North Africa, many countries around Asia and Africa. Our Americans, of course, got their independence earlier. So that's where I feel those different historical perspectives started shaping about the image of one another or each other. And there initially some got it wrong. Afghanistan was probably the first country who did it, who resisted or didn't recognize us as the United Nations.
1947.
1947, and the idea behind that was that there was some claims on the territorial lands which came as a legacy into the British India by the two dominants of India and Pakistan. And a very important event, which I feel many younger audience should know and understand, there was a very famous character by the name of Fakir Fipi in Waziristan. And around 1948, he created a Pashtunistan government in exile. And the premises and the basis of that claim for that exile government, that he was pleading that these areas which was erstwhile FATA in Pakistan were never part of the British Raj. So when something was not part of the British Raj, how could they become the legal heir to which has been transferred from the British Raj? So this matter, so they went, they had a moment, it was a bit even violent, and they created this exile government. The matter was referred back to the British Parliament, and they deliberated on this question. The reason being is that initially those two dominants were the product of Indian Independence Act, the entity of Pakistan and Indian Union both. So the Parliament, British Parliament deliberated on that, and they concluded that this claim of so-called Pashtunistan was a farce, and the entire area is legally belonging to the newly emerged state of Pakistan. So that was concluded then and there. Post that scenario, some political and social movements and circles never, which was a marginalized group, they never abandoned this unattainable dream on Afghan side as well, and marginalized group on Pakistan side as well. And the Pashtun nationalism has evolved in different phases. The most famous one, if we can attribute it, the genesis of Pashtun nationalism in 19th century was Bacha Khan. And Bacha Khan's Khudai Khadmatgar they had a social reform movement. And on the occasion of independence, or just prior to that, on the eve of independence rather, the question that what would be the fate of the people of erstwhile NWFP, he proposed that they should be asked to have an independent Pashtunistan, but that was rejected, the demand, and a referendum was agreed upon. And if you look closely into the Pashtun tribal history from, let's say, 1,000 years or 2,000 years, the known Pashtun authentic history, probably there has never this question been asked by the Pashtuns that if you have to choose which house you would take or where would you reside, which would be home. But once it has been asked, and that is 1947 referendum. And in that referendum, the Pashtuns answered Pakistan. So for us, it's home. The beginning of this home, the constructed home, the idea could be dated back, someone would date it back to Muhammad bin Qasim's entry, someone would even claim that Khoshal's movement, Khoshal Khan's movement, was actually to resist the domination of northern India. So this was in another form. By the time Qaid-e-Azam became the modern Khoshal, so he was also resisting the domination of northern India, dominated by Hinduism.
I would like to understand and appreciate if you explain the difference between these two ideas that got mixed somehow, blurred, and it's difficult for some younger people generation to understand because they don't understand the history in a level that you understand. That what is the difference between Pashtunistan's liberty, the idea that you mentioned during the time of Shah Khan, and the territorial claims that Afghan states exposed or claimed or pushed in the past decades? What are the main differences?
Well, there is a cultural and social affinity across the region. We share the same language with the people in Kandahar, with the people in Ghazni, with the people in Kabul, with the people in Jalalabad. Is that unique so much that they have to convert and create a nation state on the basis of linguistic nationalism? If that is the case, then all the Persian speaking probably would go and unify with Tajikistan, or the Uzbeks would merge with the greater Uzbekistan. What would happen to the east of Europe? There are many sublime identity fault lines over there. What about Iran's 30% of Azeris population? They speak the language which land Azerbaijan speaks. Kurds and Balochs and Arabs. Why there are 6 GCC countries? All of them are culturally same, linguistically same. They even carry sort of a same historical continuation, but still they are different nation states because this is a modern idea. What about the German-speaking population? They live in Switzerland, they lived in Germany, they live in Austria, in and around 3, 4, 5 countries. Why not one Germanic-speaking state? If that is the modern arrangement all across the globe, why this claim specifically on the Pashtuns that they should have a unified state because they speak the same language? We have many more experiments other than language. We have our social experiments, we have our cultural experiments, we have our legal experiments, we have got our assimilation into a colonial structure which has ruled this part, which is today's modern days Pakistan or India, for almost 200 years. So We have learned English language. We have attended the missionary schools. We have gone to the bureaucracy. We have gone to the military bureaucracy. So the idea of prestige with the social positions, with the professions, is altogether different than with our fellow cousins across in race who have been groomed and assimilated, where they have looked upon Kabul for many, many centuries. So if someone from this side has to think and go for creating the new nation state, they would be completely alien there. Rather, these 5 decades of Afghan refugees' presence here in Pakistan has created a new space, particularly amongst the Pashtuns of Afghanistan, that yes, they would like to love the idea of Lar and Bar, but reversing that idea and probably creating a confederation with Pakistan, or maybe if somebody asked them and go for a referendum, they would love that if the remaining Afghanistan is incorporated into Pakistan, maybe they would support that, because their economic interest is there, their social interest is there, their future generation is growing over here. It offers them a lot. What does it offer to this side? Probably nothing.
Yeah. So, in your opinion, why Afghan states in the past, so I mean, since Dawood Khan, the territorial claims against Pakistan? Was it because they were just trying to distract people, play local politics, or put pressure on Pakistan? From, in your opinion, what was the idea behind this from the Afghan side?
I think so. There is a tragic experiment with Afghan central state. Since Amir Dost Khan, Afghanistan tried to consolidate its central authority. It unified the Principality of Kandahar, it unified the Principality of Iraq. So these all principalities were being brought in by Amir Dost Khan, and then later on by the rest of the Barakzai dynasty. Duranis, all of them, up till Amir Abdurrahman and up till rather Zar Shah, I would say. And this consolidation of the central authority has always faced challenges. So you have an Afghanistan which is trying to consolidate its central authority for the last 140, 50 years. And then there is a Pakistan which is again trying to consolidate the central authority for the last 70, 78 years. And in competition, as an outcome, even if not as a competition, but as an outcome, one has lost historical opportunities twice, thrice, 4 times. They tried it earlier, then they tried it during Dawood's time, then they tried it with the help of Soviets. I'm not accusing them that they were a client state, but whatever their situation was, they were trying to consolidate the Sawar Inqilab was primarily again an attempt to consolidate the central authority on socialist principles, on different principles, progressive ideas, so on and so forth. But so far, they failed. And the last failure probably was the worst, which was spending around $2 trillion of the international community. That was not the tax collection of the Afghan population. It was a tax collection of the global population spent on Afghanistan in the period of 2 decades. And when the hour came, the people who were supposed to be protecting the republic, guarding the republic, owning the republic, the rest of the world just saw they vanished.
Yeah, for sure.
We cannot find the trace of that.
Yeah, let me ask you a question here, Mr. Kakar. So some historians and writers say that one of the reasons that the United States failed in Afghanistan and Afghan people failed in Afghanistan, democracy failed in Afghanistan, because Pakistan didn't want. They say Pakistan, I think if there is a strong independent government in Afghanistan, and they would push on this claim, historical claim, and make another Kashmir problem in this part of Pakistan.
To me, this entire narrative and the basis of this narrative seems politically delusional.
How so?
Yes, I'm trying to explain. This failure of a consolidated strength or a power of a central Afghanistan or central authority has led Afghan leadership to rationalize their failure. And in the process of rationalization of that failure, just let's examine the last part, which is NATO's presence and a lot of accusations on Pakistan. What they are suggesting that a NATO, after spending $2 trillion and the entire military of the world, mostly Western Hemisphere's military over there, stationed over there, and due to the Pakistan state strategy, it got failed, right? And now, for last 4 years, we are struggling with the problem of TTP, and they would suggest, oh, it's haunting them. So were we that much capable that we outmaneuvered the rest of the world? And now, when we succeeded, we have become so challenged that we cannot even manage or respond or bring it to the minimum, the challenge of TTP. We get attacked every second, third, fourth day. So what is the reality or what is the truth?
Well, the
Truth
question,
is,
yeah,
let me.
yeah,
Another, I'll just pick on one.
yeah.
They say that many Taliban leaders were living here. Many Taliban leaders were not residing in Serena or Marriott Hotel. We were hosting 5 million Afghan refugees. And on the one hand, they would be speaking of their traditional and cultural lineages and their hospitality. So the entire population, which was of the refugees, if not 100% of them, 60 to 70%, if I can make a safe guess, were the sympathizers of the TTA.
Yeah,
They were the sympathizer of Taliban.
Yeah, so we will talk about the current problem, but Mr. Kakar, to be fair, people say, well, Pakistan created this problem for all of us. And look, when the Taliban, your government released Mullah Baradar from prison to negotiate. And your country's former, ISI head of intelligence went to Kabul and managed or structured the cabinet of the Taliban. Well, people say Pakistan created this problem, and now it is a problem for itself.
Well, as probably your audience only knows the popular perception, are you aware that Americans and the Britishers and other NATO members, when they were on the mission of fighting Afghanistan, the TTA, they were paying the same Taliban not to fight and to protect their logistics? Is this a perception or a reality? What is your view? I will give you a reference which establishes this fact. Mike Mullen, testifying before the Standing Committee in Congress, when he famously said that the Haqqanis are the inveritable arm of ISI. In the same testimony, he explained that they have a local arrangement to give protection money for their logistics. And it was eventually discovered that protection money was given to Taliban. So were you people interested to fight them, or was it only our responsibility? Do you think that your great leaders, I've got a lot of respect for Ashraf Ghani and for Karzai Saab and then many others. For few years back, they were killing each other. And now they both reside in the same street in Kabul. So can I have some suspicions about the presence and their relations during those times? Or only you people are entitled to be dubious of our character? I don't want to put accusation to one family or one individual. This is below the
Are you
mark
saying
if
that
I do.
Karzai, the president, he's not one individual, but he was the president of Afghanistan, right? He brought Taliban into
No,
power.
I will not name. Well, he was the spokesperson of them just prior to 9/11 in the UN.
But yeah, but so he was the president of Afghanistan for years as well. And then, so do you say that during his presidency, somehow he helped Taliban
I
come
am not
back to power?
suggesting that. I am not suggesting, and why should I pinpoint towards Mr. Karzai? He's just one individual who was head of the state at certain time, but there is a 20 years, and it is not one president who was the most important executor in a scenario or circumstances like of Afghanistan.
In your opinion, Mr. Kakar, why Afghan Taliban are making a trouble for Pakistan, and also they are pushing on that old idea of territorial claim?
I think so. The problem with the Taliban regime is that all they have known for last 22 years were that they were an insurgent group. And as luck would have it, Americans decided to leave this region, focus more towards on China. I never agree that they were defeated by Taliban. They did not lose in Afghanistan, they lost interest. And the interest was somewhere else. Taliban regime is not ruling New York or Virginia or LA, that they have gone from here and they have occupied the lands of the United States and they have triumphant over that. Yes, the US lost the interest and they went somewhere else. And due to the loss of interest, this insurgent group survived. Their luck. Now, that experience of an existence as an insurgent has all of a sudden given them a role of governance, which they have no clue about. And just trying to play a sort of a better role in terms of governance, which is quite challenging. It's not that easy. You just go and do the hit and run job and grab some Kalashnikovs and other small gadgets and go for the extortions. Now, extortions and tax collection in a systematic way is altogether very different.
Sure.
How to provide the educational services, the health services, so on and so forth. And that generates a lot of frustration in the population. And that frustration, despite their coercion, despite their forceful ruling methods, you do need some sort of an acceptability by the people whom you rule.
Yeah.
And what do you feed them? So one way of addressing that population which is living in Afghanistan and a section of diaspora, Afghan diaspora, who probably have an idea of Afghanistan rather than actual experience of Afghanistan. For them, it's a very romantic idea, and it helps their inflated egos. And while maybe they would be driving a cab somewhere in New York or delivering a pizza in UK or running a grocery shop in Berlin, doing different jobs. And in the evening when they landed in their homes and their house, talking to their families or friends, they get this idea that still the Lar and Bar is only being championed by the great Talibans. At least they are the one with honor. You know, all those sort of emotional rhetorics are being fed over there. So they try to get some sort of acceptability, if not legitimacy, from a one diaspora outside, and the population living gets diverted attention from the real day-to-day problems.
Why claiming that Lar and Bar Afghande is a factor of acceptability among Pashtuns? Well, it's a, you just
Well, not
explained.
among
So
Pashtuns, it's probably a bit more attractive to Afghan Pashtuns.
why?
Oh, well, it's any romantic idea. if I tell you that I would be ruling the whole of Asia as a Muslim, I would love Neel ke sahil se lekar ta bakha ke Kashgar. Why did all the Muslims love this?
So why, in your
couplet?
opinion, Pakistani Pashtuns don't have the same feeling?
Yes, that is more a pertinent question. That why don't we have it?
If you don't have it,
Because,
if your Pashtuns don't have it.
well, a marginalized section of Pashtuns, I admit, would still have it. I'm not saying, but it's a minority. The majority, why it got away from that claim or from that rhetoric or from that slogan, because Pashtuns got the best of best in Pakistan. When you get best of the best, there are around 10 million Afghans all around the West. I haven't seen 10 individuals who would be suggesting in their local communities that their children should be taught either Farsi or Pashto.
So let me ask you, yeah.
And why? Because they got more than that emotional and cultural satisfaction in their adopted countries, adopted homes.
Well, the Pashtuns got the best of the best in Pakistan, you say, Mr. Kakar. Well, look what's going on in the areas that Pashtun live. There is multiple insurgent groups. There is fight. There is violence. There is like poor communities in Balochistan that you represent. What's going on there? And that's one of the claims that your own people make, that we have resources, but we live poorly, and there is no any attention towards us compared to other communities in Pakistan.
Well, this is what we need to explain. When I say Pashtun have got the best of the best, Pashtuns are well placed in Pakistan. The largest Pashtun city in the world is neither Kabul, nor Kandahar, nor Jalalabad, neither Quetta, nor Peshawar. It's Karachi. Karachi hosts around 5 million Pashtuns. A coastal city where from transportation to businesses, if you want to compare one district of Waziristan or Dia Khan or Banu and try to build a whole narrative around the Pashtun population is not only the people of Waziristan or Banu or Tang, they are part of it. Pashtun is a much larger group, and the larger group is residing peaceful, having social, political, commercial opportunities in this country. And those specific one or two districts where the terrorists are operating, where all these thugs under the skewed idea of religion are operating, you get these sort of violent groups around the world, sometime even in the developed world, mostly or more in the developing world. So we are also facing that sort of a challenge. And the same level of violence you don't experience these days in Afghanistan post Taliban takeover. So is that political arrangement acceptable to the rest of the world or to the Afghans?
No, that. So
All the Pashtuns' rights or the Hazaras' rights or the Uzbeks' rights or the Tajiks' rights or the Turkmen rights have been acquired in Afghanistan, that all violence has gone. And there is no violence, by the way. Let's be very honest about it.
well, it depends what is
We
the
have
definition of violence. There is violence.
We have got more violence in some part of the KP and some districts of Balochistan. And Afghanistan, if you compare with that, there are no organized attacks by the groups.
For sure.
So does that mean that Afghanistan has become a model and ideal state, and the concerns and the requirements of all the communities have been addressed? No, that is not the case. Over here, these violent group, they create this narrative, they craft this narrative of victimhood, and they place into the heads of the different followings that we have been victimized, there are people who are have-nots, and they rationalize violence here. That is not acceptable.
Do you think that Pashtun nationalism and also Pakistani nationalism are two separate ideas, cannot emerge. If they emerge, creates problem.
Well, not at all.
Mm.
For me, Pakistani nationalism represents a diversified uh, cultural bouquet. Pakistan is a very young nation which is heir to one of the oldest civilization. Pakistan is here since 1947, but this uh, region, this part where even we are sitting, around 2000 years from this point, around 100 kilometers away, was one of the oldest university of the world in Taxala, in Taxla. The Harappan civilization and the Mohenjo-daro and the Mehergarh civilization, they were all part of the modern day Pakistan. So this region, which we call Pakistan, is a continuation and its eventuality in modern times, from ancient to medieval and modern times, it has now become and has got an expression in the name of Pakistan. And Pashtun is a very important part of this cultural continuation. Khushal was not in, I feel the essence of Pashtun nationalism arises from Khushal Khan. If there is no Khushal Khan Khattak, I would hardly see a Pashtun history. Be it of poetry, I know I've got a special bias for Khushal, but Khushal is not from Kandahar. Khushal is not from Kabul. He is not from Mazar. Khushal is in Akodi Khattak. Khushal is in modern day Pakistan. So it is part of our identity. Who would take away Khushal from me? No one can. No one can.
Therefore, you are a Pashtun nationalist as well yourself.
Well,
do you identify yourself?
I would put it that way. My cultural affinity, my poetic penchant, my inclination towards Pashto poetry or Farsi poetry or Urdu poetry is definitely there. And to be a Pakistani nationalist, you would be very fortunate and unique if you have got access to multiple languages. And those languages would create this unique sense of identity, which in modern terms is Pakistani nationalism. If in Pakistani nationalism, I even take pride in owning Sanskrit. Sanskrit's grammar was not developed in Tamil Nadu. It was in Peshawar. So we have got rich historical civilizational background. The Afghans and the Iranians mostly, they claim that they have got 5,000 years of interaction with India. In fact, if you delve in, the Lopez of Afghanistan was sold here, and the Mesopotamian traders were interacting with the Indus civilization. So when they were interacting, actually they were interacting with modern day Pakistan, again not Indian Gujarat or northern India or south of India of Chola dynasty. They were interacting here in Mohenjo-daro, in Harappa, and our traders were going to Mesopotamia. So these Iranian plateau and modern day Iraq, they were interacting with modern day Pakistan. They were not flying in those days to Tamil Nadu that people of Afghanistan had thousands of years of relation. You can have very good relations with modern India, we don't have an issue with that. But don't twist the historical explanation. When you had relations with the Indian plains, the first destination was Khyber.
And fascinating. So the current situation, so consider all this context and problems and historical roots of the tensions that we talked about. So now I think we are in a very important a turning point, many people say, regarding Afghanistan and Pakistan. Mr. Kakar, do you think that Pakistan is approaching a regime change in Afghanistan? Because Taliban are not a people or a group that can be helpful for Afghan people and also for Pakistan, and would create more problems in the future if they stay in power.
Not at all.
Mm.
I don't think so. Pakistan is pursuing the regime change. We have unfairly been accused in the past for meddling into internal Afghan affairs. It is up to Afghan people. If they do not like their leadership, if they feel that they don't deserve this regime, uh, the political movement is for them, not for us. I'm not an Afghan citizen.
For sure.
Why should I? I'm not a superpower or an imperial power either, that I go and encourage the regime change in another country. What is clear on the Pakistan side, that if our sovereignty is being violated, if we only want one thing from Afghanistan, no matter who rules Afghanistan, whether it's again a new democratic dispensation or the continuation of Taliban or anyone else, it's their internal problem. Let them handle it.
Even if they violate human rights constantly.
Or you can speak against the human rights violation by anyone, but you cannot force the change of government over there. We do not have any mandate there. You can have an opinion on that.
Well, I have heard this story from many Pakistani politicians and intellectuals and lawmakers like yourself, that, right now our problem is TTP, this, or terrorists that Pakistan say comes from Afghanistan. Well, Mr. Kakar, let's say, that problem got solved, just hypothetically. Imagine for a second. So you, as a very well-known politician, former, Prime Minister of Pakistan, would be okay with the government in Afghanistan that doesn't recognize human rights, doesn't allow girls to go to school, and don't have like an inclusive government that, represents all part of society. Afghanistan has a diverse society. So you would be okay with that?
The issue is whether I'm okay with it or not okay with it is a very straight outcome to this question, which I feel has a lot more nuances and shades. First of all, whether I'm a former prime minister or a common citizen of Pakistan, I've been accused for meddling into Afghan affairs, political affairs, for last many decades. I have been accused of strategic depth. I have been accused of all the things which we haven't done. And now, when someone would encourage me and invite me to speak on the political matters of the same country, I would be very cautious. I'll be very cautious to see who those people are. Or are they seeking just my opinion, my material support, my diplomatic support, my social support? What is the expression of opinion? What sort of a weightage they are expecting from us? So when we would be weighing that, then a lot of options would emerge. If I'm a government official, my approach and response would be altogether different. I may be having some private counseling. I might not take some public position.
Well, from your personal opinion, Mr. Kakar, or from Pakistan's national interest, that sort of government would be not a threat.
It can go either way. We have our experience with the Republic time. We had our experience with Sardar Dawood. We had our experience with the Khalqs and Pashtunis. The Khalqis and the Pashtunis. So we have all kind of experience. One thing which was unfortunately constant was this anti-Pakistan driven agenda, which I feel needs attention. And that attention is in the best interest of Afghan people and Pakistan, both. If it is not doable, which in my firm opinion is undoable, Afghanistan, if it keeps its existing size, would be its biggest achievement in the modern history. Not just keeping its size, but consolidating within, developing the state structure, developing its own institutions, bringing prosperity and peace to its people. That should be the goal rather than expanding eastward or the westward or northward. That is a non-starter. So if you keep giving this mirage to your population, this population would be entirely confused. So once that is sorted and genuine Afghans come to a conclusion, it's for them to decide. If they want to continue with these claims, it will not affect our side at all. The problem is on their side. Once, in my opinion, as a friend, as a neighbor, as a brother, I consider them as brothers, that is addressed, then the internal political question that what sort of a governance system we should have, what sort of a governance structure or the framework we should get. In that, I can and I do have an opinion. The current regime, I don't think so that it is the Puritan representative of the Islamic idea which they claim for. There is a lot of debates in the modern day about the theocratic state or the religious society. Do we need to have a religious government in all the Muslim countries, or do we have one of the best governments with the religious principles in the society? So these debates are going on,
For sure.
but I'm pretty much sure that the current Talib regime is not open to these pluralistic and alternate ideas, but this is the future of mankind. You cannot blind the population for centuries and centuries and centuries. Do they want to represent the medieval Europe? It's their choice.
Yeah, for sure. Some mindset that has been going on, and lately it's been very hot in Afghanistan. Lalo Bar, Afghan, we don't recognize Durand, mostly from Pashtun, Afghan
Yes.
Pashtun, mostly. What is your solution or your advice for this, and how Pashtuns can move on that can be helpful for both sides and for Pashtuns emotionally and ethically and in family wise, socially, and so on and so forth?
I think so. We need to be pragmatic. When somebody suggests that the families have been divided and the tribes have been divided, there were 5 million Afghan refugees in Pakistan for almost 45, 50 years. Is this correct? Can somebody provide me a data where 1,000 or more than, let's say, 2,000 families had intermarriages with the Afghan Pashtuns in these 50 years? There are almost non-existent. I can give you a data of hundreds of thousands of intermarriages between Punjabis and Pashtuns, between Sindhis and Pashtuns, between Baloch and Pashtuns. So are we more assimilated here or with their fellow cousins of Afghan Pashtuns? I have not seen intermarriages. I'm claiming here. I invite people other than abuses, because that is not the answer. I would respect a data. If there is a data, I've seen and attended quite a few Afghan marriages, but between the Afghan families. I haven't seen a Pashtun Pakistani family marrying into an Afghan. Yes, there are few examples in Europe, there are a few examples in US and other areas that I'm not denying. Here in Pakistan, it's a minority. So it means we are not even socially engaged with one another. So if you are not even socially engaged with one another, how could you expect a political union? We are more assimilated into this nation state of Pakistan. Our future lies here. We look upon Islamabad, and it is best that they look upon Kabul. The best suggestion, advice, and my prayers are that the Pashtuns of Afghanistan should not think in imperialistic terms, because we are not the chosen people of God. We are just equal, just like any other ethnicity on earth. You have got fine Tajiks with you, you have got fine Uzbeks with you, you're going to find Hazaras with you, and Turkmens with you, and Baloch with you. Have the bouquet of your own nationhood. And the service delivery, economic prosperity, bringing the region's connectivity to one another and benefiting it from for the sake of their own generation. That is the vision, that is the goal they should think upon. If I would have been a one, I would be thinking and praying rather than dwelling into a pathological hatred for another century against Pakistan. It's their choice. If they want to do that, they can do it. Or on our side, there is no hatred. We don't have a claim on Jalalabad. We don't have a claim on Kandahar. We are not saying that we will go and conquer and go up to Mazar-e-Sharif so that we can have access to Uzbekistan. We respect Afghan sovereignty and recognize it as a state, despite it being a non-functional state almost, or a weak functional state, right? We would help, pray, cooperate, coordinate on this condition that if our sovereignty is violated, no matter what, we will respond. Then we will not look into the consequence. And Pakistan has shown this determination. We have shown it against Iran, we have shown it against Afghanistan, we have shown it against India. So this is, it's not just hatred against Afghanistan. This is a principle which Pakistan statecraft is now demonstrating, that no violation from any side. If they do, we will respond.
So how do you see the future relationship between Iran and Pakistan?
Pakistan has got a traditionally good neighborly relations with Iran, and it is not for us again to think of their governance system and their governance structure. Whosoever rules Iran is the problem of Iranians, not us, the Pakistanis. We respect their sovereignty, their territorial sovereignty, their governance sovereignty. It's entirely their choice. Pakistan is not US or Israel or Europe who would have views on Iranian government. It's not for us. And particularly in this situation, we are playing the role of mediation. And as a mediator, we have to avoid the role of a judge. We're not judges. So short of that, our current goal is that how to initially bring ceasefire that we brought. We're quite happy about that. And the second phase is how to make it a prolonged ceasefire, and then eventually, in an incremental way, achieve the sustainable peace. It's quite a challenging task. It's quite a different task. The same goals were being realized by the team from United States, from European Union, from China, from Russia. And altogether now this onus has been shifted due to the circumstances on the shoulder of Pakistan. So Pakistan is taking quite a big challenge, much way above its weight. And so far, it is demonstrating that, which many people probably did not think of, it is proving to be up to the mark. So we are quite focused on the current crisis instead of looking at what sort of outcomes it will have for us in the region. Because the global economic order, the global prosperity is way much important than one or two small gains or disadvantages in strategic terms for us.
Thank you so very much. Deeply appreciate it for
Thank
this
you.
opportunity. It's
Thank
great talking to you.
Thank you.